Yeah. I don't know if that's unusual in the music business. I mean, that's the way we want it to be always.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know I can depend on them, and they know they can depend on me.
When did the idea for the album first come forward then?
It's the next logical thing to do.
Well, around the end of summer, I felt we had to keep the momentum going, and that was the next logical thing. And we discussed either a 45 or EP or an album. And I felt that after discussing it with the guys, that an album was the logical step. And I felt that they were ready, and they felt they were ready, and
the record companies didn't.
And the record companies didn't.
So we said, we'll do it without them.
And that's basically the way it's been from the very beginning. And it's going to continue. We just today signed our distribution deal for our album, and it'll be available internationally throughout the world by the end of January.
Well, that's hot.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Slap, slap.
You have a very interesting song on the album, Merry-Go-Round. What's the story behind that?
The story behind Merry-Go-Round is, and a lot of people don't understand it when they read the lyrics, but when I was living in Seattle where I was raised, there was a guy who was about 22, 23 years old, had about 4 kids and had all these pressures. He was like too much on his mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there was an actual merry-go-round right where the houses, all the little apartment buildings were. And one day he ended up just sitting out there. He just like lost his mind, and they took him away in a straitjacket. He was out there. he regressed to being a little kid. He was out there playing on the merry-go-round, and he just lost it all the way. Too many pressures. And I thought that was just something, it always kind of struck me in the heart. I always thought I wanted to write a song about that.
Merry-Go-Round, Mötley Crüe from the new album, Too Fast for Love. You played, you've done at least one mini tour, I guess you'd have to call it, where you went out and played smaller towns to see how it went over.
Blew them away.
Where did you go?
We went Chico and...
Up in Northern California, Grass Valley, Nevada City, Chico, Sacramento. That area, and that's where my home is. And in many cases, self-produced concerts, rented a theater and put on a show and did our own promo. And small theaters, 350 to maybe 600 seat. And it went wild.
We'd sit in biker bars and get drunk, and they'd look at us, but then after they got to know us, they'd figure out that we were pretty normal guys after all. And then after they started hearing our music, they started to like us, and we sold out everywhere we played. Kids rushing the stages, and we figured, well, that's how it's going to be over the mountains in some little town. That's exactly how it's going to be. So hopefully.
One thing I noticed on the album, we get a lot of stuff in here in Local Music Show, a lot of tapes and a lot of records and whatnot. And the sound you have on this is really good. I mean, you came up with a fine sound, and it's basically self-produced, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is.
And you had mentioned before, Vince, that you hadn't been in the studio. Who was responsible then?
Relax.
No, I was in there. Me and Nikki were in there most of the time, actually. And thanks to our
Michael Wagner.
Michael Wagner.
He's from Germany. He's a German guy who speaks fairly good English, who's worked with Judas Priest and a lot of other European bands, and he's phenomenal. Phenomenal. Great guy to work with.
He's really good. He's really good at the board. He's the type of person where we know what we want out of our sound, and a lot of times, being a young band, we haven't had the experience. We could go, we'd love to get this sound, and a lot of engineers will go, well, you can't do this, you can't do that, da-da-da. He'd just go, okay, like this, and it's done.
He knew exactly what we wanted. He's
exactly.
And a lot has to do with the studio we recorded in. It was very nice, had the facilities we needed. Hit City West.
Hit City West, right?
Good place to record.
Did you change? You must have had everything pretty much figured out when you went in to record.
Yeah.
A lot of pre-production. A whole lot. That's very important. I mean, as far as budgets and stuff.
I was just going to say, it makes a lot of difference as far as the budget thing goes.
Right, Alan?
Come on, guys, hurry.
That was On With a Show. That one's a little bit different than most of the songs in the album. Partly, in fact, that two of you wrote it.
That the music had been around for a long time. I couldn't come up with any real concept for it, and we were rehearsal, and it just was real spontaneous.
Started making up some words, and Alan was there, and he goes, "I kind of like what you're singing there." So then I kind of got an idea. Me and Nikki we went, after practice, went over to Nikki's house, and we sat down and just came up with a story.
That's what we did. We sit down and we thought out a story. Of. Basically, it's a very street-oriented song about a person who is in love with a girl who's in love with a guy who's really doing, as the album says, living really too fast for love. And when he gets killed, she has to go on with the show, which can relate to many situations. You always have to go on when you lose something.
Yeah.
Tearjerker.
And I don't want to turn it off.
You have a set process for writing songs like that.
More and more as we're going along, we're writing a lot of the new material. We're really happy with. It's more of a collaboration of everybody. Like I said, when we first got together, I had written the music because there was really nobody else there.
So now someone will come in with a riff or something that everybody will add parts to it, and come in. Well, let's put this here, let's put this here, and like one of us will come up with the melody line, and then we'll sit down and.
It's still concept.
So it's still the same thing, but it's more.
Ever since the beginning of rock and roll, there's always been a certain amount of outrage involved as far as dress and whatnot. Elvis wearing his pink shirts, and Little Richard and all that back then. And it goes on and on since then. I'm wondering, how would you look a little bit different on stage? You have stiletto heels you wear sometimes.
Yeah.
It's a the show. Hair and all that. It's just part of the show.
It's a show. Like I said, you go back to, it almost goes back to acting. There's spontaneity in it, but it all goes back to acting, theater. Rock and roll has gotten so stagnant. That's why New Wave came along.
Yeah.
Everybody just said, "I'm sick of this, deep purple, tight pants and mustache rock and roll." There's got to be more to it than that. I mean, I believe that. Maybe I'm wrong. You could disagree, and everybody else could disagree, but that's what we believe.
There's nobody else like us right now,
There's a lot trying to be.
Real good point.
That's a real funny thing. Is a lot of people in L.A. It's picking up, and like in England, like when the punk bands started, Sex Pistols and stuff, everybody went to that extreme. And I'm wondering what's going to happen in the future with us, because it's starting to happen just in L.A. What's going to happen when Alan said, the album gets distributed nationally, if it'll pick up to that extreme.
You go to our shows now, and you look out in the audience, and there's blue-black hair and blondes with their hair blowing up, stiletto heels, leather jackets, out in the audience, and then it's just starting. You can go walk down the street and you'll see, hey, he looks like me.
What a
so you haven't run into very much negative reaction to it then?
Except from record companies.
Yeah.
You're too weird.
Isn't that something that people you'd expect to be ahead of things on that, always lag behind? Who were the first ones to pick up on what you were doing?
It's really staggered.
Yeah, it's very.
It's really,
a real wide spectrum of them.
Yeah, there's people from 13, 14 years old, girls, and there's 17, 18-year-old guys, there's 25-year-old men, and there's 30, 40-year-old people.
There's people there.
It's like a wide, it's a wide range a really wide range of people that like us a lot, It's just closer to the stage the younger they are, that's all.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like television or something. I mean, we're not just a typical heavy metal band or a punk band or anything. There's so much entertainment up there that anybody can get a kick out of coming and seeing the show. And so we hope everybody enjoys it.
It's been a pleasure having you guys by here tonight.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
And I wish you a lot of luck when you go out there and head across the country. And if you go across the ocean, we'll be looking forward to seeing you back here in the city about the middle of January. Good luck with the album. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
And anything we can ever do for you?
As a matter of fact. That's Public Enemy #1. Mötley Crüe here in the KLOS Local Music Show. I want to thank the guys for stopping by. We had a wild time with them and wish them the best of luck along the line. This is Benson with you here.